So the polls close, and they go live. Now, I'm hearing that Texas is close, so I'm saying, but I'm getting all these horrible calls from my kids, from Jared, from everybody. Too bad, Dad, because they had me written off, right? They said, no, the polls. And I said to Ivanka, you know, honey, I may have lost. Because I really, you know, based on what they were saying, it was sort of like going to be an early evening. They didn't realize it was going to be an early evening for us. And even though they refused to call it, it should have been an early evening, but they just refused. But I said, but I left nothing out there. I felt so good because, again, I was getting this news which really sounded like it was sort of over. And I said, it's like a team. I left nothing out there. I couldn't have worked harder. I couldn't have worked. That month, we outworked anybody that ever ran for office, all right? Nobody ever ran for office that worked harder. So I was okay with it, you know. I was okay. I wouldn't say I was great. I wouldn't say I was thrilled, but I was okay. And then the polls closed, and now we get the real numbers. And that's when Ohio came in. And that's when I love Ohio. They were so great. I know you guys have a little competition, but that's all right. But they were so good. And that's when Iowa came in. 10 points. That never happens. All these counties won, almost every single county, and won the ones that weren't won by till the 50s, since the 50s. And then I hear these states that were in play. Texas. We have breaking news. Donald Trump has won the state of Texas. And I couldn't understand it because when I went to Texas, we had these massive auditoriums and these stadiums that were packed with people, lines that were 20 blocks long. You couldn't get in. Thousands of people left outside. So I won Texas. But they said it was going to be close, and it was a landslide. Then they have another one. Georgia was going to be, again, they use the word in play. In play means that, you know, it's going to, go either way. Donald Trump, breaking news. Donald Trump has won the state of Georgia. Right? This is like in the first 2 seconds. You know, this is the one that they're saying for 2 months. Oh, Georgia's in play. Texas. Okay, so that's done. Great states. Then they had this character that nobody ever heard of before from Utah. I love Utah. And they had him, like, tied with me and beating Hillary. And I said, who the hell is this guy? And as a Republican, you never lose Utah. It's like, you know, hate to say it, but, you know, I don't think has anyone ever lost Utah? So they said, Utah's in play for months. And they talked about this guy. And, I mean, I looked at him. I said, is he going to beat me, that guy? Where does he come from? Who is he? Who is he? What's he doing? If he wins, we louse up the Supreme Court of the United States. What's he doing, this guy? Anyway, so then right after Texas, it's it. Breaking news. Donald Trump has won the state of Utah. Like what? By 25 points. And by the way, in all fairness, Hillary came in second, and this guy that nobody ever heard of, he fell off the planet. So we won all these states. But then, and a certain person said to me, very important person, who I actually got along with very well, said, when did you think you won? And I said, no, when did you think that you guys lost? And they said, well, Florida was looking okay. And all of a sudden, but they hadn't counted on the panhandle. That panhandle, boy, what was that, like 91% or something? Those are great people, workers. And we were doing well in Florida, and they weren't liking those numbers because we were like even. We hadn't gotten to the panhandle. And all of a sudden, breaking news, Donald Trump has won the state of Florida by a lot. By a lot. And then we just went right up that coastline, right? We won South Carolina, and then a big one because they put all of their eggs in the one basket. And they said, they were interviewing people on television from the other side, you just lost Florida. I said, well, we're a little disappointed, but we have no problem because North Carolina is our firewall. He can't win. North Carolina can't happen. 2 minutes later, we have breaking news. Donald Trump has won the state of North Carolina. Big league, big. We won it big. And, you know, I knew they had problems because they took the convention center, and I just took a ballroom. You know, if I lost, I don't want a big room. I just want to say, thanks, everybody. I'll see you next time. I'm out of here. I don't want to have... But they spent like $7 million on fireworks in the East River. So they had the ballroom, and they spent a tremendous millions and millions on this massive fireworks display with the big barges in the river. And that was about a month before the election. But 3 days before the election, they canceled the fireworks. I said, that's a good signal. I said, is it supposed to be inclement weather? And we checked, and they said, no, actually, it's going to be beautiful. It's a beautiful night. I said, why did they cancel the fireworks? And they were in for a lot, like $7 million. Because they raised, I think they spent $2.2 billion. You know, I get no credit for this. They spent $2.2 billion. What do we spend? Like a little more than $300 million. Mr. DeVos will tell you, Mr. DeVos Sr. will tell you, too, that, you know, in the old days, you get credit if you spent less. Today, they'd say, and they used to say, she spent more money. He's up by 1 point, right? She spent more money, like it's good. No, it's bad. If you can spend less money and win, that's good. We got to remember, it's good, not bad. So when I heard they spent $7 million on the fireworks, and I didn't know if we were going to win or lose, but I was feeling really good. So we sent them over just a nice verbal statement. We will offer you 5 cents on the dollar for the fireworks, right? Because it was only a few days ago. They never responded. I thought I could buy the fireworks cheap. Just like I don't want to buy an airplane for $4 billion, okay? I don't want to buy it. Even if I don't get to use it, who the hell cares, right? I'm not paying $4 billion for an airplane. So we had an amazing night. Thank you. They forgot about you people. By the way, in 4 years, they're not going to forget, but it's not going to work. Because you're not going to forget. But so we just went up, and it was amazing. And then on top of it, we won Michigan, which these folks have done such an unbelievable job. Ronna McDaniels, what a great job. You and your people have done an incredible job. And then we won Wisconsin, which was so incredible. Because that one, you know, we weren't expecting necessarily. And it came in, they're incredible people, hardworking, wonderful people. So, and it was over. It was an amazing experience. And winning Pennsylvania, you know, Pennsylvania, for 38 years, they didn't win it. And it was always the one that got away. Every Republican said, we're going to win Pennsylvania. And it never happened. They say the bride that got away, right? It never, ever happened. Everybody said they're going to win it. And not only did they not win it, they lost it big. So I felt so good in Pennsylvania. Every time we would have these massive crowds, signs on everybody's lawn, you know, the Trump-Pence sign. By the way, how good is Governor Mike Pence, soon to be Vice President Mike Pence? How good is he? What a good choice. What a good choice. He's been great. He is a great guy, but I want to just say thank you to Mike Pence. He's been amazing. So it's been an incredible experience, I must say. But Pennsylvania, when we won that was, you know, now they could have called it around 12 o'clock or 11:30 or 11. And remember the screen, remember the states? And boy, the red was starting to get big. Boy, that was getting to be really a lot of red. Remember when they were saying at the beginning before the night, there is no path to 270. And you know the amazing thing about the Electoral College is that you stop at all these states. I was going all over the place. I was stopping at states. And in many ways, I'd rather have it the other way. It's easier. You campaign in New York and you campaign in California. You stop in Florida and Texas. And it's so, be easy. But this does get you. I was never as much a fan. This gets you to stop at states that you're not going to stop in. And that's what our founders had in mind, and that's what people had in mind. It's an amazing thing. It really is. I went to Maine 4 times. 4 times to Maine, for one. I needed one, because they all said, maybe I could get to 269. They didn't know that we were going to break that beautiful, beautiful blue wall. We're going to shatter that wall, so nobody... So I went to Maine 4 times for one. Now, under the other system, you wouldn't do that. So it was an amazing evening. We ended up with 306, and which was a landslide. And some states we won by 30 and 40 points throughout, and it was just an amazing thing. And I can tell you, we're going to work really, really hard for you. We're going to work really hard to justify what you did. And so we're doing our little tour. And one of the places I had to stop is Michigan. And we're going to bring our Michigan jobs and Michigan workers back to work. We're going to bring them back to work. And I've been here many times, and even before I was running, before I officially announced, I didn't know if I was running. And I got an award about 4 years ago, the Man of the Year. And I talked about the cars. They can't keep taking your car manufacturers, Ford and the others. They can't keep taking them out. And I was talking about it long before I ever thought I was going to do this. And the people in Michigan remembered, I've been talking about this for years, we're going to stop it. And Ford's made a promise to me, and hopefully at the beginning of the year, they're going to honor that promise about something they're going to do that's very big. And they're going to do it in Michigan, not in Mexico. And it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. So we want to thank you. But on taxes, we're going to undertake one of the great tax reforms and simplifications in American history. At the center of this plan is a massive middle-class tax cut. Middle-class tax cut. We're also going to lower our business tax rate from 35% all the way down to 15%, bringing new companies to our country and to your state. So we go from the highest taxed nation in the world to one of the lowest. Not the lowest yet, but okay, don't get greedy, okay? But to one of the lowest. On regulations, we're going to eliminate wasteful, job-killing regulations that undermine the ability of our workers and our companies to compete with the rest of the world. Big thing. Bigger than the taxes. I think it's bigger than the taxes. On energy, we will cancel the restrictions on the production of American energy, including shale, oil, natural gas, and clean coal. We're going to put our miners back to work. Miners, we love our miners. Wyoming, I think it was my highest percentage. The opponent almost didn't register in the state of Wyoming. Almost didn't register in the state of West Virginia, which we love. We love our miners. On infrastructure, I will ask Congress to pass legislation that produces $1 trillion of new investment in America's crumbling infrastructure. That includes major new projects for both our rural communities and our inner cities. And our inner cities are like the forgotten man and the forgotten woman. We've forgotten about our inner cities. No longer. And the African-American community was great to us. They came through big league. Big league. And frankly, if they had any doubt, they didn't vote. And that was almost as good, because a lot of people didn't show up because they felt good about me. And the Hispanic community, great. Great. Really great. And women, thank goodness, women. Oh, man. Women. The women. That was the other thing with the polls. It's like, I'd go to these rallies and they had the pink signs all over the place going crazy. We did great with women, so I want to thank the women. So we're going to put our people back to work. It's time to help get Americans off of welfare rolls and back into the labor market. We're going to do that. Rebuilding our country with American hands and American workers. And they're going to be so thrilled. They're going to make so much more money than they've ever made. And they're going to love getting up in the morning, and they're going to love what they do. My administration will follow two simple rules: buy American and hire American. Because from now on, it's going to be America first. America first. Our trade deficit is now nearly $800 billion a year. Can you believe that? Any business people in the room? Raise your hand. Do you think you could do slightly better than that? I think so. It's a chronic drag on growth, and it's a destroyer of our country's wealth and our country's jobs. $800 billion a year. You actually say, who's making these deals? Who's making them? You look at deals that Mexico and other countries have with other countries, and the deals they have with us are always the worst deal. But that's going to change. That's going to change. We've got the professionals lined up, and these professionals, they know what they're doing. America has lost 1/3 of our manufacturing jobs since NAFTA. We've lost 70,000 factories. I always tell, during this, for the last month, I've been talking about it. I always say it's a typo. You mean 700 factories. You mean 70 factories. 70,000 factories since China joined the World Trade Organization. Think of what 70,000 factories is. It's the greatest jobs theft in the history of the world. No state has been hurt worse by our trade deals than the state of Michigan. That's why I knew I was going to win Michigan. That's why I knew I was going to win. No state. And it's the car industry, the automobile industry. But you watch, they're going to come roaring back. They're going to come roaring back, and you're going to be happy. You've lost more than 40% of your automobile jobs since NAFTA was approved. Think of it, 40%. And I'll tell you what, if I wasn't elected, 40%, you wish you had 40% in 2 years from now. You wish. It would have gotten much worse. Plenty of deals are going on. And, you know, we did a great job for Carrier with the help of Mike Pence. We did a great job, but you got to understand, we got to that table a little bit late. They already had built their factory in Mexico and lots of other things, and yet we saved a tremendous number of jobs. And the rest of those jobs, I mean, look, they have to be prepared, Carrier and everybody else, that when they make those air conditioners or whatever they're making, I think they're going to make pumps, not air conditioners. Was going to be air conditioners. We left them back here. But whatever they make, and other companies, they're going to have to pay a tremendous tax to get that product back into this country. The point is, the jobs that are gone, I think they'll be coming back soon, too. It used to be the cars were made in Flint, and you couldn't drink the water in Mexico. Now the cars are made in Mexico, and you can't drink the water in Flint. We're going to change that. And it would have been nice if I had a little help from your governor. It would have been real nice, right? Would have been nice if we had a little help from your governor. We're going to withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, renegotiate NAFTA, stand up to foreign cheating, and fight for every last American job and every last job that belongs in Michigan. And if a company wants to fire their workers, leave Michigan for another country or anywhere else, and then ship their product back into our country, there will be consequences, folks. It's no longer going to be like we're people, we don't know what we're doing. we don't know what we're doing. Go ahead, fire everybody in Michigan or Indiana or Pennsylvania, fire everybody, build someplace else, and just sell back. No, no, no more. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. If we, it's not me, I'm a messenger. If we didn't come along, our country was going to be totally drained. There are thousands and thousands of companies right now that are negotiating to get out of our country because, well, for one reason, the taxes are too high. For another reason, the regulations. So even without doing what I'm doing at the border, and there is no 35% tax, you understand that. It's only if you leave is there a tax. There's no tax on our company. We're lowering taxes. But I don't think we're going to have to use that 35% very much because when we lower our taxes down to 15% or thereabouts, I hope I can get it down to that level, but nobody's going to leave. When we lower our regulations by probably 80%, 85%, these are regulations that don't, they're a disaster for farmers, for manufacturers, for everybody. I also have an important announcement, and I'm going to make it tonight. You mind? We'll keep it low-key. We'll keep it very low-key. They're turning off some of the cameras because they're so honorable. But we have a great, great business leader with us tonight, one of the foremost leaders in manufacturing, one of the foremost leaders in the world of business, a man who cares greatly about this state and this country, even though he does happen to come from Australia. He's here with us this evening. He's done an incredible job. He's helped to build an unbelievable company. He's been the chairman and CEO of Dow Chemical for 13 years. One of the truly great companies, and it's based right here in Michigan. And he's staying here. He's staying. He's proud of Michigan. He's also a fantastic family man, just met his son, and someone committed to returning jobs to the United States of America. His name is Andrew Liveris, one of the most respected businessmen in the world, and I'm asking him to come up and head up our American Manufacturing Council, and he's agreed to do it. They will be tasked with finding ways to bring industry back to America. Industry and manufacturing back to America. And there's nobody can do it like Andrew. So, Andrew, please come up to the stage. Andrew.
Doesn't the president-elect sing music? It's music. It's Kid Rock. It's Detroit Motor City music. It's Michigan music. It's American music. I'm very proud to be here. We love him too, and we're very proud as a Michigan-based company to be. We were founded here in Michigan, just up the road in Midland, in the Bay communities. We're global, but we've been expanding our operations here in Michigan. We've been expanding our operations in the United States. Over 7,000 jobs, factory jobs, construction jobs, technicians, engineers, service jobs. Invested over $7 billion in the last 4 or 5 years, and we aren't stopping there. We aren't stopping there. We're going to add value by getting this incredible workforce in front of me, this incredible American worker, this incredible Michigan worker, and we're going to put you all to work. We've got ideas and we've got plans. And tonight, in honor of the President-elect and his being here to thank you all, we've made a decision. We're going to invest a new state-of-the-art innovation center in Michigan. We're going to put an R&D center in place. This decision because of this man and these policies We could have waited. We could have put it anywhere in the world. Several hundred jobs on top of the thousands. We aren't waiting. We're going ahead. We're going to use American hard work and American brains, and we're going to fight for the Dow company out of the USA. President-elect Trump, I can't tell you, I tingle with pride listening to you, but to honor me, to help you chair America Manufacturing Council, to put in place the investments that you talk about, you're paving the way with your administration, with your policies, to make it easier to do business in this country. Not a red tape country, but a red carpet country for American businesses. America first, as you said. That's what we have to do. And you can count on me and the business leaders that we'll put on this team. This will be America's finest and brightest to help us solve these problems that you all have. We need to employ our youth. We need to help all of our citizens. We need to give you hope. We need to find a way back to believe in ourselves again. As you rightly said, I may have a funny accent. We Aussies love America a lot. I bleed America, and I bleed Michigan. That's what I do. Thank you, sir. It's an honor. Let's make America great again by building great things in America.
Wow. So great. Thank you, Andrew. Wow. Isn't that great? That's what's going to happen, folks. We're going to get jobs. We're coming back, and we're going to come back to Michigan. We're going to come back to Pennsylvania, all these places. New York State. You see what's happened in New York State. We're going to bring them back. So I just want to thank Andrew. And Andrew's going to announce the names of the great business manufacturers, the best in the world. And he's setting up his council next week, and he'll announce them next week. And they will be, like him, the greatest leaders there are. So I want to thank Andrew and Dow Chemical. And that's really good news for Michigan. On the military, we will show the whole world that America is strong again. We will rebuild our badly depleted military and ensure that our service members have the equipment, training, technology, and resources that they need to get the job done and done correctly. But I always add, we're going to have the strongest military in the world, the most updated military in the world, and there's rarely been a time when we've needed it like this. But I always like to add, we will never have to use that power, I hope. We're building tremendous power, and hopefully we will never have to use that power. We believe in peace through strength. We will, however, get rid of ISIS. I'm sorry, we will get rid of ISIS. ISIS has to go. At the same time, we will ensure our veterans have the best medical care in the world. It's about time. And on health care, we will repeal and replace Obamacare. We're going to have health care that's much less expensive and will be much better, much stronger. The murder rate our country has experienced is the largest increase in 45 years. You don't hear that. We are going to support the incredible men and women of law enforcement, and we are going to bring this crime wave to an end. On immigration, we will build a great wall, and we will put an end to illegal immigration and stop the drugs from pouring into our country and poisoning our youth and many other people. Got to stop the drugs. And we're going to have people come into our country. Hundreds of thousands of people We want them to come in because we're going to have big, beautiful doors in that wall. But they're going to come in legally, through a process, legally. During this campaign, I had a chance to meet the amazing families of the Remembrance Project, parents whose children were killed by illegal immigrants. A Trump administration will end this long and horrible nightmare of violence. We will fight to protect every American life. During the campaign, I also spent time with American workers who were laid off and forced to train the foreign workers that were brought in to replace them. That's not going to happen anymore. Company that's out there right now, they say you're going to train the people that are going to replace you, and if you don't do it, you're not getting your severance pay, okay? Not going to happen to our people anymore, okay? One of my first executive orders will ask the Department of Labor to investigate all visa abuses that undermine jobs and wages for the American worker. To protect our country from terrorism and extremism, I will suspend immigration and refugee admissions from regions where they cannot be safely processed or vetted. We are going to have extreme vetting. We have no choice. We have enough problems, folks. We have enough problems. We will do everything in our power to keep radical Islamic terrorists the hell out of our country. Have no choice. Ethics, thank you. Ethics reform will be a crucial part of our 100-day plan as well. We're going to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. You will see. I will impose a 5-year ban on executive branch officials becoming lobbyists and a lifetime ban on officials becoming lobbyists for a foreign government. And since I've become sort of involved with costs, and as business people, we sort of understand that, I think that these people that give out these billions and billions and billions of dollars of contracts to companies should never, ever be allowed to leave and go to work with any of these companies, okay? No more. Got to be a lifetime ban. Then you wonder, why is it costing so much? Why are the cost overruns so high? And I could name so many different. You look at some of the fighter jets that are being built. You look at things that are happening. And I'm not just talking about the military. I'm talking about so many other purchases. When they purchase and when they're in charge of purchasing, they should never, ever during their lifetime be allowed to go to work for those companies. They just shouldn't be allowed to do it. And they're not going to be allowed to do it. So all of a sudden, they'll start negotiating a little bit harder, right? You know the game. Come to work with us. Come to work with us. Oh, let's finish this contract first. Oh, okay, he's going to really negotiate tough, right? We face many challenges, but this is truly an exciting time to be alive. And there's never been anything like what we've done. The script is not yet written. We do not know what the page will read tomorrow. But for the first time in many, many years, what we do know is that the pages will be authored by each and every one of you. The American people will be in charge. Your voice, your desires, your hopes and aspirations, you will never again fall on deaf ears. It won't happen. You saw what happened 3 weeks ago. It's not going to happen. People are paying attention to you now. They're paying attention. These people are talking about you every night. They never talked about you. They said, oh, they're not going to show up. They're talking about you again. We have sanity back. We have sanity back. You will be the captains of your destiny once more. Together, we will raise incomes and create millions and millions of new jobs. You watch Andrew, and you watch his friends. You watch what's going to happen. We will lower taxes, unleash American energy, bring new companies to our shores, and stop the companies already here from viciously leaving. We will reestablish the rule of law and appoint justices to the Supreme Court of the United States who will uphold and defend our Constitution. We will heal our divisions and unify our country. And when Americans are unified, there is nothing we cannot do, no task too great, no dream too large, no goal beyond our reach. My message tonight is for all Americans, from all parties, all beliefs, all walks of life. No matter your age, your income, your background, your race, I am asking you to join this incredible movement, this movement that nobody has ever seen anything like it before. I am asking you to dream big and bold and daring things for your country and for yourself. I am asking you to believe in yourself, and I am asking you to believe once again in America. And if you do that, then all together, we will make America strong again. We will make America rich again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you. Michigan, thank you. God bless you, everybody. God bless you. Thank you.
So I gave him a letter on the 29th.
10 days ago.
Yeah, we had a very nice personal conversation. I explained to him that I came to work for him really to save America. I mean, that's the reason I worked as hard as I did. Some people wondered, well, why was I so passionate? I was passionate because I felt our country was going off a cliff. Thought we were going in the direction of being a social democracy, European social democracy, and an extremely weak country internationally. And I saw Donald Trump as the person who could change that. And the second part of it is, I know Donald for 28 years. I consider him a close personal friend. He's done some very good things for me, personally, that I owe him. And so I had passion about him being elected. I know what I think America is now getting to know. He's going to be a great president. He's got all of the skills and talents of a great executive, a motivator, and a great president. So I felt I had done my job. I helped him get elected, and he had great choices, and I have great options. And if he tells me you're the only one who can do this job, I'll do it. But there are plenty of choices that he had. So I got out on the 29th, and we kept it quiet for about 10 days so that he had enough time without pressure being put on him to have to make a choice, And now I think he's getting close within 2 or 3 days of making one.
So is that where the timing comes? So today we find out that you've pulled yourself out of consideration because a choice is imminent? A name's going to be announced soon?
Meaning within the next 3, 4, 5 days. I think he's down to 2 or 3 people, and he's got to decide which of the 2 or 3 he considers, the best for him.
Before I go into those,
but they'll all be very good.
Before I go into that, I want to know what you say to all these pro-Rudy people. People have said, we want Rudy Giuliani to be Secretary of State. He's the tough guy that we've seen throughout the campaign. We want him for Secretary of State. What do you say to those people?
They're going to get somebody very, very good for Secretary of State. So far, I don't think Donald Trump has let us down on any choice that he's made. I think in each and every choice that he's made, he's exceeded expectations, and he'll do the same thing. He'll do the same thing with this one. He has an extraordinary ability to pick good people.
Are you advising him on this pick, Secretary of State?
Actually, that's the one thing I'm not. I'm on the I'm vice chairman of the transition team. I've been involved, and I got to tell you, this is the best transition I've ever seen done, and I've been through 3 of them. More professional, much better done. Mike Pence gets a great deal of credit for that. Mike has organized this like a search for a major corporation. So I've advised on a number of the appointments.
But not this
the
one.
one I was recused on was the one where I was a possible.
But you're
candidate.
not involved now, so maybe you can continue the advisory role.
Oh, I've already given the president my advice.
And that was John Bolton.
President-elect.
That was John Bolton, right, for the Secretary of State. Talk to me a little about that.
Well, I can't tell you who I advised, but I can tell you that I have tremendous respect for John, and I think John and some of the others would be great secretaries of state.
Which others?
Well, I can't mention the others. Those are for the president-elect.
Let me just push back a little bit on that, Mr. Mayor. John Bolton, Ambassador Bolton, I understand where you are in that, but he seems to be pro-intervention. He was in favor of the Iraq War. He's in favor of getting involved in Syria, Libya, in favor of regime change in Iran, where maybe Donald Trump hasn't been on in that same lane for the campaign. How do you pick someone who's so ideologically away from where you were?
Well, I'm not so sure how ideologically away they are. I mean, the reality is there are going to be some differences between let's get to the presidency now, the president and the secretary. Betsy DeVos,
right,
who's the Secretary of Education, who was speaking tonight, was in favor of the program of the Bush administration.
Mr. Mayor, I don't mean to be rude. We're going to come up against a hard break. I'm going to keep you here. We're going to talk to you a little bit more after the break. And we'll have more reaction after that, both sides, to our interview with Rudy Giuliani. Stay tuned. And now we continue our conversation with former Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who it was learned today that, Mr. Mayor, you've pulled your name out of consideration for Secretary of State. We talked before the break a little bit about Ambassador Bolton. You've said you've been advising Mr. Trump on who you thought would be good and who you thought wouldn't be good. Let's talk a little bit about Mitt Romney. There's a lot being made about Mitt Romney. He seemed to be anti-Trump throughout the process, the election process. Your thoughts on Mitt Romney as Secretary of State?
Well, I mean, the president-elect has to make his decision. If he selects Mitt Romney, I'll support Mitt Romney. But I think I've already said publicly that I thought he had gone too far. It's one thing to have a team of rivals. It's another thing to have a team of enemies. And I think Mitt Romney put himself, unfortunately, in the category of enemy. You know, the attacks were bitter. The attacks were personal. And maybe I'm too close to President-elect Trump to react to it correctly, somewhat like Governor Huckabee and Newt Gingrich. I think we feel kind of offended for President-elect Trump after some of the things that he said. So it would take a little to get over that.
Mm-hmm. Like what? Do you want to see Mitt Romney apologize to Donald Trump?
Well, I would think he would have to take back some of those things about it's almost being immoral to be in favor of Donald Trump, and I mean it wasn't the usual political rhetoric. But again, it's the president-elect's choice, and if he feels satisfied that Mitt Romney would make a loyal and good Secretary of State, he has an excellent judgment about people, and I would defer to that.
Okay. Very quickly, Rex Tillerson.
Don't know him well.
Okay.
I mean, I know Bolton. I can tell you a lot about Bolton. I like the idea that Tillerson understands Russia and the Middle East.
Yep.
Those are two of the places you have to understand. But I can't really comment in much greater detail.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Big news day. Thank you very much. All right, and next, reaction from both sides to our interview with Rudy Giuliani. Stay tuned. In the Factor follow-up segment tonight, reaction to our interview with Rudy Giuliani. Joining us now from Washington, Katrina Pearson, former spokesperson for the Trump campaign, along with Democratic strategist Adam Green. I'll start with you, Katrina. Rudy Giuliani pulled himself out of the mix. What your thoughts? I mean, he came with a lot of emotion here. He said he really was part of that Trump campaign, and he felt it was best if he pulled himself out. Your thoughts?
Well, he absolutely was, Eric. You know, I got to know the mayor quite well during this campaign. You'll recall there was just a handful of us who came out of the gate defending Mr. Trump, and he's absolutely right. You know, we were passionate and very defensive of him because we believed in him and his ability to be the next president of the United States. And, you know, throughout that process, he was very engaged and committed to helping the president-elect become the next president. I would see him giving Mr. Trump advice on the plane, and he was very emotional about this. And so it was shocking to a lot of people to see him take his name out of contention, because he does have a lot of support among those who were supporting Mr. Trump early on.
All right, now, Adam, this is no spin zone, but Democrats are going to spin this in a way, and we'll watch and see what happens over the weekend. Your thoughts? What's the Democratic spin to this?
Well, first, thanks for having me on, Eric. And I'll just say it was a little bit sad, honestly. You know, just like with my home state governor, Chris Christie, a few weeks ago, Rudy Giuliani did not voluntarily step down. He was passed over, and passed over for good reason. You know, like so many of the nominees we've seen coming out of Trump world, if President-elect Trump had gone with Rudy Giuliani, this would have been one more betrayal of Trump's own voters, who thought they were voting to take on the corporate establishment, to take on the political establishment, and instead keep getting more of the same. I mean, we just saw him announce the head of Dow Chemical, and you just discussed the head of Exxon to run our foreign policy and our jobs policies. I mean, these are people that fundamentally work against Republican communities, Democratic communities, independent communities, and this is not what people voted for.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to call a little audible here, and we're going to keep Adam and Katrina. We want you to stay with us, because we're going to continue this conversation with both of them in just a moment. All right, we're continuing our conversation with Katrina Pearson and Adam Green. Katrina, you heard Rudy Giuliani say that if Mitt Romney were picked to be selected to be Secretary of State to President-elect Donald Trump, he needed to walk back some of the comments that he had made about Mr. Trump during the primary and during the election. Your thoughts?
Well, he should. He insulted Mr. Trump, his voters, his supporters, and anyone who felt like making America great again was somehow a bad thing. But, you know, at the end of the day, Mr. Trump is going to make this decision, and people are going to stand by his decision. He made a commitment to bring on the people that he felt would be best to do the jobs. And of course, that's going to mean business CEOs. It's going to mean bringing in people that aren't going to be approved of by politicians, because Americans voted. They're tired of having politicians and folks from academia to go out there and be put in positions based upon an ideology or a philosophy. Mr. Trump is going to appoint people that is going to get things done. He's made a commitment to this country and to the people of this country, and he's not even president yet and already making waves.
And Adam, before the break, you pushed back a little bit on Dow Chemical Chairman Andrew Lavaris. The man basically said he's going to keep some jobs. He's going to create some jobs right here in America because of President-elect Donald Trump.
Yeah, that was kind of a head fake. I mean, Dow Chemical is the number 2 toxic polluter in the nation. You know, they've hurt millions of people, polluting Republican air, Republican water, Democratic air, Democratic water. This is not a model corporate actor. I do think Katrina made an interesting point about philosophy. You know, a lot of the people that we've seen get appointed, like Steve Mnuchin for Treasury Secretary, do have a philosophy, but their philosophy is get rich by hurting working families. In his case, he made millions of dollars by foreclosing on people's homes.
Adam, you're just lobbing some grenades here. I don't have a lot of time. Go ahead, Katrina.
But I don't think you could really assume what someone else's philosophy is. And the philosophy is absolutely to make money. It's to absolutely make money. And that's what Mr. Trump did. He put someone in place to make this country money.
Did people vote for more Wall Street bankers on November 8th? Is that what they voted for? More Wall Street bankers running the economy?
No, people voted for Donald J. Trump, because they trust and believe that he's going to appoint the right people to get the job
Goldman
done.
Sachs bankers, and that's not what people voted for on November 8th.
People that have a record of being successful.
You have
people
a
have a record of being
president-elect
successful for closing on people's homes.
All right, guys,
as
guess what? I ran out of time. I have to wrap you up. I apologize for that. Katrina, Adam, thank you very much. That's all we have time for. Thank you for watching us tonight. I'm Eric Bolling, in for Bill O'Reilly, who will be back on Monday. And please remember, the spin stops here. because we're looking out for you.